Today, I will be talking to you about patience. By show of hands, how many of you are quietly getting frustrated in your seats, hoping I get on with whatever I was saying? Thank you for illustrating how impatient we can be. Now, of course, you've just provided us with one example, but there are many, many ways in which we are impatient in today's world. See, it's because we get everything instantly. Modern technology allows us to earn college degrees within just a few months, ship and deliver goods within just a few days, watch films and television shows literally on demand whenever we declare we want to watch them, and send text messages within just a few seconds. It's incredible to me how much we can do with something as small as a smartphone. And I say that at my wizened age of 19 years. And yet, I can't imagine how remarkable it must seem for my parents. I'm what they call a digital native. I was born into a world where personal computers and the internet already existed. But my parents, they lived completely different lives. I've heard stories of how it took a whole day for them to sit and wait for the cartoon hour on TV to start. Or how it took months for them to receive letters from each other since they lived on opposite sides of the globe. They had to wait. We don't have to deal with any of that. We've pushed the limits of everything around us to make them happen faster. And yeah, that's great. We can accomplish much more in much less time. But a consequence of that is that we've become impatient. My generation especially, but society as a whole as well, has lost the patience we once regarded as an indispensable virtue. Now, I want to examine this idea here today. Let's go back to the demonstration at the beginning. You knew that I was going at a steady pace, that eventually I was going to finish my sentence, but you wanted me to hurry up. I had set up an expectation, a rhythm with every word that I spoke, and you knew the result that was to come, but you weren't willing to wait a few seconds for me to complete my statement. Makes you think, doesn't it? But don't worry, because such impatience is not uncommon. At the University of Arizona in 2009, a study examined over 300,000 phone calls made to an emergency call center in Hyderabad, India. In the study, out of the calls terminated within 2 minutes of being put on hold, 52% of the callers reported that they hung up either to find another way to solve their problem or simply to hang up, redial, and try again. In potentially dangerous situations in which the callers sought emergency services, the majority of them weren't willing to wait 2 minutes for their needs to be tended to. In another study conducted in 2012 at the University of Massachusetts at Amherst, over 6.7 million internet users were examined. In the study, the amount of time users were willing to wait for a video to load was analyzed. Can anyone guess how long it took for the users to start giving up? 2 seconds. After 2 seconds, the rate at which users abandoned the video increased substantially. After 5 seconds, a quarter of the users were gone. After 10 seconds, half of them had abandoned the video. Now, while I can't generalize and say that those in the study represent all internet users, I'm compelled to admit that I have done the same. At times, I've been worse. I've smacked the towers of slow computers in the library. I've yelled at computer screens. I've furiously smashed keys on my keyboard. I've had low moments. But I recognize that it's an issue. I know it's not right for me to be irrationally impatient. I know that there must be a better way for me to act in those situations than simply to be angry. but I find it difficult to change my behavior because my environment is pushing me to expect things to happen faster. My friends, my family, the people I meet in the street, virtually everyone I know is trying their best to be faster and more efficient. The rising expectations of speed and efficiency mean that ordinary, mundane tasks seem long, slow, and not worth waiting for. As a result, erratic behavior like my keyboard smashing has not only become a part of the culture, but it's also both common and acceptable. So, what about in other cultures? Well, things are a little different. I was born and raised in Pakistan, moved here about 5 years ago. In Pakistan, I was used to waiting because there were no highly organized digital systems in place or technology developed to speed things up. In Pakistan, my father had to go to the bank, wait in line, and speak to a banker to make a transaction. My mother had to go every day of the week to the corner grocery store and ask the old and somewhat deaf man if he had any eggs, and 6 out of 7 days of the week, the man would just be like, nah. Because his supplier didn't really have a schedule. I myself remember 3-minute songs taking 3 days to download, because when you only have 12 hours of electricity a day, high-speed internet isn't really your priority. Did we enjoy living like that? No. Who likes waiting, right? But there was no other way. We had to get used to waiting. That's just the way it was. And because of that, Pakistanis share an understanding of the importance of patience. We realize that we can't always speed things up. We can't always change things. We can't always get what we want when we want it. There's a Pakistani saying, the fruit of patience is always sweet. And I'm a firm believer in that. Because the world doesn't revolve around us. We can't always get what we want. Things take time. And with patience comes an acceptance of those ideas. Although I acknowledge that since I've moved to the United States, I too have become impatient, and that with the growth of technology in Pakistan, Pakistanis too will be impatient at times. But the awareness that there's a need to be patient is something that will always stick with us. With changing environments, we may become impatient at times, but we know what it's like to wait. We have past experiences. We have experience of being patient, and we can use that experience to remind ourselves of just staying calm and waiting. But the millennials, they don't have that experience. And the older generation in the United States have become so accustomed to the technology that surrounds them that they too have become a victim to the impatient endemic. See, the pace of our lifestyles is too rapid. Of course, it's perfect for the things we can change. The processing speed of computers, the response rate of emergency services, the efficiency of our transportation systems. But what about the things we can't speed up? What about the things we can't change? Can we eliminate traffic? Can we avoid being put on hold on the phone? Can we get rid of waiting in lines altogether? Can we speed up how fast the elevator moves? Psst, pressing the button again and again and again and again won't make it go faster. Can we change these things? In the future, perhaps. But as of right now, with the technology that we do have, we simply cannot. And it is within this gap, the gap between trying to make everything happen as fast as possible and waiting on the things that we can't speed up, that we must learn to live in peace. And that starts with developing patience. The process of developing patience starts with realizing that not everything is in our control. Certain processes take time, and there's nothing we can do to speed them up. If we remember these things whenever we feel impatient, we can be aware of how we're acting and try our best to be less impatient. Now, Now, the process of developing patience isn't something that works for everyone. It's something we all must work on as individuals. And if we build our patience day by day, we can incorporate it into the way we interact with our surroundings. If we remind ourselves that sometimes in certain situations we just have to wait, we can be much more comfortable, much more relaxed, and in my opinion, much happier. So, to all the slow things out there, I say, be slow. Force us to be patient. Force us to better ourselves. Slow readers in class, keep reading. The waiter that ignores my raised hand and feeble attempts to grab his attention, walk by me one more time. The woman on the phone that tells me to please hold, keep me hanging. The more we're forced to wait, the better we'll be at it. It's up to us to be calm. It's up to us to build our own patience. We're not running out of time. We're running too fast for time to keep up with us. So let's all slow down. Let's take it easy. Let's be more patient. Thank you.